Transmitting high atop of Florida's peninsula at 108 feet, this is Alpha Mike, and you are listening to Radar Cop Podcast, episode 189. On today's episode, Guns, Now What? With my co-host, Kilo Sierra. We're going to talk about the nutty left and their proposal for a law that it looked like it came out of a cereal box and it looks like a cartoon. But as funny as it might sound, it's really serious, because even a blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while. And we're concerned about it. How do you get in contact with us? It's easy. RadarCop.com takes you to our website where you can hear all our podcasts. This is 189, so 189 podcasts. You can also go to our official website, RadarCopNation.com. There you can see upcoming shows, archive shows, news, articles about us, and all that other good stuff that you're looking for. We're on social media, but not the old social media, but the new one. And of course, that's MeWe, Wimkin, Parlor, coming soon back to a theater near you, and Clut Hub. We're on there as well. We also currently still have our Facebook page, not taking it off just yet, because Governor DeSantis, Mike DeSantis, love that governor, has put his foot on Facebook. And it might be worth watching. So we may keep the Facebook website of the Radar Cop Nation. We might leave that up there. We'll let you know. As always, we look forward to your input on what we're doing. We're on Mondays, Wednesdays, Saturdays now. Mondays, guns and mafia. Two topics that everybody loves. Wednesdays, we do the roll call series. Everything that is law enforcement orientated. Basically, what affects law enforcement and the day-to-day operations. And then we round it up with Saturday with the Buccaneers series. And as we coordinate how to go swamp hunting and get those creatures out of there. And, of course, the powerful word of God. Can't build up training all day long and spiritual training you've never done. You're not going to have much protection. So we encourage you to listen to everything that we've got out there. We, with Kilo Sierra, we're going to be doing guns episode on Mondays. And Wonder Woman may be coming up to bat on some programming down the road as well. A while back, I told you to keep the cop in prayer. He was having issues with health-wise, but, we still want you to keep him in prayer. But he's not up to par yet to get on the mic, but soon enough we'll have him back as well. And how can we forget the mighty, the master of masters of gunsmithing, Pistol Pete, the gunsmith. And if you got Uncle Joe's gun and you've been looking at it in your safe all full of rust and saying, look at this thing. Not even with W-40 can I fix this thing. No, you might not be able to, but I know who can. The man that I trusted my life with my whole career, and that is Pistol Pete the gunsmith down in Miami. His information is down in the show notes. You can send it to him. The instructions on how to send a gun through FLLL dealers. And he'll explain that. Send that bad boy down to him. Make it look brand new. You think he made it himself. And send that right back to you. Work of art. And here's the most important part about a pistol peak gun. When you press on the trigger, it goes bang. 100% guaranteed. That's the most important element. Today, episode 189, we are talking about guns. Now what? And that is about the proposition that the left have to strip every gun-toting American the gun right out of their hands. But we have something for them that we've always kept dear to us, and that's called the Constitution and the Second Amendment. We'll discuss that today, but before we head in that direction, you know and I know, it's time for the word of the week. We need to get spiritual buildup to attack what we're about to attack. Let's hit it. Go therefore and make disciples of all the nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. Matthew 28:19. And as I said, on Saturdays, we do our programming here. On the Word, it's twice a month, maybe a little bit more than the 15 minutes that we used to do. Probably 20, 25, 30. But it will definitely encourage you, and that's what we want to do. You got to get that spiritual training up. You got everything else. I got the gun. I got this. I got the defensive tactics. I know my statutes. I know my laws. I know how to get out of a mob. I know how to do all those things. But I got to know God. So that's what we do. And you can learn more about what I just read on the Word series, and I encourage you. You can get it right here. It comes right out on Saturdays. All right, and the beauty about podcasting, you don't have to hear it on Saturday. You hear it whenever you want. Kilo Sierra is his name. We haven't seen him in about 10 months. We're eager to hear him. We know that he's excited to come back. We're excited to have him. So why make him wait in the phone booth any longer? It's time to bring out my co-host, my buddy, Kilo Sierra. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the main event. And just like I promised, the return of the one and only, the man, the myth, the legend, Kilo Sierra, back in the studios. Welcome back, my friend.
Wow, what a great introduction. Thank you, sir. That was wonderful. How are you? How's everything going?
I am great. We have missed you tremendously. It's been 10 months.
No,
10
isn't that crazy?
months. So coronavirus has attacked our microphones.
It's just crazy. I can't wait till this is all said and done so we can get back to normal again.
Me too. I mean, we took social distancing too serious on this radio podcast. We kept you at 10 months away. But you're back.
Too long.
You're back.
Get ready to back to work. Yep.
Now, I have told the audience prior to your arrival that as soon as you come back, we were going to discuss one of the things that you said. I was going to play the replay for you and all that, and I go, nah, I'm not going to be that serious. But there was some conversation about maybe doing a blog or your own podcast. 10 months later, we're all ears.
Well, like you said, COVID was delayed certain things here and there, but I am definitely seriously considering a podcast regarding similar topics that we discussed now. Gun control laws that are pending, just to have people aware, keep people aware of what's coming. Also, my firearms training classes, or just firearms training in general, things to look for, things to improve on. Because I don't know about you, but me as an instructor, I am always looking for training myself.
Yeah.
And I am always I'm always a perpetual learner. So I think that I'm going to try to bring up topics of discussions. It could be basic, the sight alignment, side picture, trigger press, or it could be advanced training concepts, what to look for, what are you into. One of the things that I like to harp on a lot in training that a lot of places don't do is like low light fire, low light training. That's one of my passions. So there'll be topics like that. I'll talk about the pros and cons, what's important, and just to make people aware of what the type of training that's out there and what should be focused on and what should be practiced. Because if you don't practice enough, it's a perishable skill.
Right. It sure is. Well, I subscribed. You don't even have the site up already, but I've already subscribed, and I'm sure a lot of the listeners are too.
Thank you. Fantastic. I can't wait to start. Hopefully by spring, or I'll have something rolling, and you'll be the first to know, my friend.
Well, I can tell you this: as soon as you do it and you start getting involved in doing research, development, and preparing for an episodes, and you're overwhelmed, you go, "What in the world was I thinking?" But the satisfaction is that you get the information out there and you start seeing people are listening, and that makes the enthusiasm much more. It grows and it turns into passion. So
sure. It's, for me, it's so important for people to go and seek training. It's just so important because you want to make the best of it. Once you purchase a firearm, especially for the beginners, it's an investment. It's a long-term investment, not only in the actual physical firearm, obviously, but in how to use it properly and how to become efficient with it.
Yes.
And so it's a long-term investment that is, first of all, my passion, but it's something that people need to acquire. And firearms training for me is crucial to promote not only our gun safety, but our Second Amendment rights also.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. But today we're going to be talking about guns, and specifically gun control. And we're going to be talking about the infamous bill presented by Representative Sheila Jackson Lee, a.k.a. better known as the mental patient, because some of the stuff that's on there is a little bit, ludicrous.
Extremely disturbing. Yes.
It is, especially I believe, and I don't know what your opinion is, but I believe a lot of gun owners during the former administration dropped their guard down, thinking we're safe, we're good. And now you're starting to see panic.
Right. And unfortunately, I think this is just the first phase because of our current political climate. This is just going to be of course, this HR 127 is just ludicrous to begin with. But it's just a matter of not only at the federal level, but in my opinion, at the state levels as well, there's going to be a plethora of gun control or attempted gun control legislation that we're going to have to fight at a local, municipal, state levels.
Yeah. And if you look at HR 127, and we're going to put notes on the show notes,
yes,
you will see how crazy some of the stuff she's saying. And, it looks like it came right out of the state of California or the state of New York, some of this stuff. It is scary. Mandating registration of all firearms and ammunition across the country.
It is.
I mean, apparently she's never really looked at the Second Amendment.
Oh, absolutely not. Because some of these requirements are just absolutely ludicrous, and in my personal opinion, I think it's going to be found as unconstitutional.
Yeah, so do I. I mean, I saw a couple of gun experts are saying that this has zero chances of passing, but I'm I would not feel that confident.
Correct. And the disturbing thing is, I mean, whether or not it has a sincere chance of passing, hopefully it doesn't. But my biggest concern is that with this, if you look at the totality of this bill, first of all, it's ludicrous, but that they're actually willing to put it on paper and attempting it anyway.
Correct.
And to me, that's a huge red flag. Where if they're willing to pass this, it's just going to be what's the next thing bill they're going to try to pass, and then the next bill they're going to try to pass. It's going to be we're going to be very active in promoting our Second Amendment rights for the next couple of years.
Yeah, you know, of course, this is an amendment in the Constitution, so the threshold for Congress and the Senate is a lot higher,
Correct.
and they also need the states to ratify. I believe I'm not sure right offhand, 36, I think, that have to ratify it as well. So there's somewhat of a fat chance, but it's too close for comfort.
Exactly. I mean, no, exactly. It just some of these. That's the problem, and these laws are. I mean, it's ludicrous. Like for example, I have the law here about the under this bill, you would have to be 21, pass a background check, pass a psychological exam, and have liability insurance.
I have to. I mean, that's just crazy. And there's actually another part of the bill. I haven't read the entire bill, but there's something there about they have to interview former spouses.
Yes, and that's part of the psyche. That's all part of the package. It's an evaluation is conducted in compliance with the standards that shall be established by the Attorney General's office. So, yeah, a part of that is that they have to interview your former spouses. It says as part of the psychological evaluation, the licensed psychologist interview any spouse of any individual, any former spouse of the individual, and at least two other persons who are members of the family or of an associate of the individual to further determine the state of the mental, emotional, and rational stability of the individual in relations to firearms.
Scary.
So it's about being extremely subjective.
Right. It's not only subjective. The other thing, it sounds complicated, which means it's going to take a long time.
Sure. It's going to increase the bureaucracy tenfold.
Yeah. You'll be waiting 10 years to get a permission to have a gun. Which is crazy.
It's crazy. Yeah. And then the where you have to not only indicate what firearms you have, but indicate where you store them as another part of the bill, and that's public record. Anybody can see that. So now, not only do you know what guns I have, now I have to tell you where they're stored and how I store them.
Exactly. Oh, look, Kilo has a Glock. Yeah, I need a Glock. Glock 19. Okay, I think I'll swing by his house. Let me do some surveillance, find out when he's not around so I can break in and get it.
Right. It's in his basement. It's here. That's other gun is in the garage. Is that whatever? It's absolute. It's such an infringement of our rights. It's
yes.
It's unconscionable.
Yes.
Really.
But you know what's going to be really, really sad are those lawmakers that are actually paying attention to it and giving it credence. That's Correct. The scary part.
Correct. And it's why it's our job to notify our congressmen, our senators. Doesn't matter, Democrat, Republican. We need to send them, our opinion and our stance. That way they understand that we voted for them and we can vote them out.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
We need to let them know how we stand.
Yeah, I think you make a very good point, a very interesting one. As gun owners, we can't stay silent. We have to, communicate with our representative and say, hey, I support the Second Amendment, and you better support it too.
Sure, we voted you in, and you have to represent your constituency.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's forgotten. So when it comes to bills like this that are absolute, I mean, obviously I'm pro Second Amendment, but this is one of those bills that is just insane.
It's over the top. It really is.
Yes.
But I would not, and anybody with a brain would say, I'm not going to dismiss it either.
Correct.
because the stars are somewhat aligned for them. And you never know. Even a blind squirrel gets a nut every once in a while, you know? So,
That's my concern, and my other. No, that's absolutely correct. It goes part and parcel with my main concern, is that hopefully they don't go back and amend this bill and pass some of this parts of this bill through, because this entire bill I think is ludicrous. However, my concern at this juncture is that they might try to trim, quote unquote, trim the fat, what they consider fat in this bill, and try to pass a modified bill, which I still think is unacceptable.
correct.
That's
It's the throw feces on the wall theory and see
Right.
what sticks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's my actual concern, because obviously it's just too close for comfort, as you said. However, I do not want a watered down amended version of this bill to try to pass and to make it more palatable for people who know nothing about the Second Amendment of firearms, and an attempt to make it more palatable legally, which I just don't want that to happen, because I think this entire bill is just lunacy.
And our friends on the left, the Democrats, they pulled some old ones that they've tried before, and the ban on magazines no more than 10 rounds, that's back up,
Yes.
as well as banning 50 caliber ammo.
Yes.
So some of these they've tried before, and so throw that in the mix also.
Right. With some states it's been successful, like New Jersey, for example, that you can't have any magazines over 10 rounds of rifle rounds. And I think New York is the same way, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
I think it's right, 10 rounds. And I'm not sure if California is the same way. But there are states that,
Yeah.
oh my goodness.
I would bet, if I was a betting man, I bet California, yes.
And another example of firearms laws that are extreme lunacy is in New Jersey. A retired officer cannot carry hollow points, which and I still don't understand the logic behind that.
Neither do I.
But so these are laws that don't make sense. However, they're still voted upon. And so as a retired officer in New Jersey, I'm not sure if any other state even has this policy.
So what are they carrying? I mean, full metal jacket?
Yeah, no. Well, erroneously some do, which is wrong. But no, either the expanding full metal jacket, but Federal used to make that ammo, but I'm not sure if they're making them anymore. And the Hornady critical defense,
right,
with the polymer filled hollow point.
Right.
But that's what mainly retired officers carry in New Jersey, which I think is just lunacy.
Yeah, but the sad part is it's also a bad habit because a lot of individuals will carry full metal jacket. That'll go right through a wall.
Yep.
It doesn't stop.
Yes, and that's the issue. Like every once in a while, because I conduct retired officer qualifications, and every once in a while, I'll see someone with target ammo, and I tell them, hey, you can't really, I understand, but it's the only ammo I can get right now. I'm like, no, you need to buy critical defense or expanding full metal jacket. Because it's because of the way the law is written. And a real quick, another one, New Jersey, which is this is a good one, right? You can only have 10-round magazines, so civilians, when they have handguns, they can only buy 10-round magazines. Fine. However, if you're a retired law enforcement officer, you can only have a magazine up to 15 rounds if you qualify with that handgun. So what that means is that, let's say you have a Glock, a Beretta 92 FS.
Okay.
Typically, they come with 15-round mags. Civilians can only have 10-round mags. Okay, that's fine. However, if you're a law enforcement officer, for you to even have the 15-round mag for that Beretta 92 FS, you have to qualify with it. So you just can't own it as a gun for for the range and have a 15-round mag. That's illegal. So if you have that 15-round mag for that gun, it's got to be in your qualification letter, stipulated that you qualified with that gun with that serial number, and you are allowed to have that 15-round magazine.
Yeah, crazy as well.
Correct. So all these laws that don't make any sense, but that's why we have to always be on our toes when we see any type of legislation that's trying to curb our Second Amendment rights.
Right. To put it a little bit in perspective for the listener that might not really understand the particulars of what you said. It's like taking your first driving test, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you did it in a 1960. No, I don't want to go that old. A 2009 Chevy
Okay.
Impala,
Right.
and you got to renew your license now, and they tell you no, you got to come back in the Chevy Impala that you took the test in order to renew your license.
Right.
It's asinine.
Right.
And the same thing if we're talking about the 92 F Beretta,
Mm-hmm.
why would it have to be the same one? Same evolution. If I get trained in this academy, and they recertify me, why does it have to be the same one? And
Yeah. No. Right. Right. It's just that. It's like you have to qualify with the. So any gun in New Jersey for a retired law enforcement officer, if it has over a 10-round mag, then in order for you to even possess that quote unquote high capacity magazine up to 15 rounds, you must qualify with it, or else you fall under the civilian statute, where you can only have the 10-round mag for whatever gun you own.
right.
So it just but like you said, these laws are made by individuals who know nothing about firearms for the most part, and who do not respect our Second Amendment rights at all.
Right. And you said that, well, they don't respect us, and that's why they create this havoc. They know it's
Yes,
stupid,
of course.
but they want us to jump through loops. Oh, you want a gun? This is all the stuff you have to do now.
Sure. Absolutely. Taxes, they tax this, they want to tax this. They want to make extra licenses for this. It just doesn't stop. It just doesn't stop.
Now, under Representative Jackson Lee's great memoirs in H.R. 127, she throws in the big boys in this bill by mandating civil liability insurance for gun owners. Ching, ching.
Yes, $800 a year. Yes.
Which is going to be huge, because $800 a year would be the introductional offer.
Of course.
It will go through the roof.
Oh, sure. And another mandate, mandatory 24 hours of firearms training.
Yes, right. Now, apparently she never has taken part in a gun course and doesn't know how difficult it is to create a 24-hour course.
Exactly. So these are things.
And the cost.
Oh, sure.
I mean, you're not going to get that for $19.99.
Yeah, exactly.
Come on in, 24-hour course.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
A 24-hour course costs some big bucks.
Exactly. So that's another it's another ploy, if you will, of indirectly or directly, however you want to construe it as, making it more cost prohibitive.
Right.
For the individual, and it's disgusting, really. I'm appalled by this bill, and I typically don't get moved like this, but this when I first saw this, I was absolutely appalled.
Yeah, and nothing happens by coincidence in Congress. She was picked to do this. She was given the assignment. It's all very tactically being done. They know that there's a hit or miss on a lot of things.
Sure.
And that's what's concerning, because we have people that have no spine, no backbone at all to defend the Second Amendment when it's time that we need that defense.
Correct.
And that's the scary part.
Correct.
So where do you think the states are going to kind of, really it would probably come down to what state you live in.
Right. What I think is going to happen is that one of the major reasons why this bill will probably fail is because of the states' rights, where the states are going to be like, no, we have the authority to impose our laws, and this is what's going to happen. So I think a lot of states are not going to agree with these laws. So that's where I think one of the biggest hurdles is going to be. Where you're not going to tell certain states that are very gun friendly, You're not going to try to shove this bill down their throats because they're not going to stand for it. No, this is not going to happen.
Yeah. I think there's a hidden carrot here, though. Again, we spoke about throw feces on the wall and see what sticks.
Correct.
And I think what they're trying to really get a hook in here is to strengthen the Department of Justice through the mental ill indicators or the psychological evaluations. And basically, that would handicap a lot of people as well, because just on an accusation, oh, he's crazy, he's not wrapped too tight, and all of a sudden they're confiscating your guns.
Yes.
And I think that they know it's ludicrous. It's a way, way big overreach what they're trying to do. But I think there are some gems that they're trying to at least get, like you said. And that's the scary part. We don't know what their sinister plot really is.
Oh, sure. This is only the beginning. This is like there's something more that's involved that we're not seeing yet. It's a hidden agenda.
Yeah.
Where I think they're trying to put feelers out to see what they can get away with, and whatever they get away with, now they're going to be like, okay, what's our next step, and what's our next step? So this might be an all or nothing attempt right now, which would probably fall on their face. But if they get something passed, or if they get some political ears to pay attention, and then okay, well, we didn't get away with this, but let's try this angle. If not, then let's try that angle. So little by little, they're going to encroach on our personal freedoms.
And also, President Biden has made mention through his administration that they're also thinking about taxing guns, ammo, magazines, all that stuff at $200 pops, which is totally ludicrous also to tax the hell out of us.
So, yeah, sure. So taxation is another one. Taxing ammunition.
Yeah.
Taxing for those that have permits to carry, or taxing anything firearms related. Also, you have to be careful with there's certain states that you can't even have firearms insurance or self-defense insurance, where they prohibited that. Any type of economic angle they're going to use against us, whether it's taxation, whether it's not allowing insurance, whether it's addressing and accepting some of this legal litigation as well, that's totally frivolous, as another one where, certain firearms manufacturers have been severely hurt because of lawsuits that, in my opinion, were totally unfair.
Right, of course.
They're totally unfair, but these are things that they're going to literally sit down and try any type of legal angle, and they're not going to stop. And that's why we have to be really more attuned, more aggressive, and notify our representatives, hey, we're not going to stand for it. This is unacceptable. The thing is, this one's right in your face, but more often than not, some of the laws they try to pass are more subtle.
Exactly.
We have to pay attention to both.
Yeah, no, we've got to have our head on a swivel, and we've got to be paying attention with a close eye, because they're going in for the kill.
Oh, absolutely. Because in their eyes, in the left sides, that everything's in their favor right now because of the political climate. But we still have other individuals that are pro-gun, so we do have a chance of fighting this onslaught that's coming.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is an overreach on their end, which is the good part. But it also tells me that you have the ability to at least put a handle on it, and that's what's scary.
Right.
The Second Amendment tells us there shall be no law regulating, and they're coming up with the feces on the wall trick.
Yeah, in my opinion, this is like a political litmus test. It's like, okay, we'll see. How does the public, whether or not they pass it, they're going to keep their eyes on. Okay, how are our representatives? How do they react to this bill? What was their reaction?
Yes.
What was the public's reaction? So they're going to sit back, and whether or not it passes, hopefully it won't, obviously, but even if it doesn't pass, they're going to look and say, okay, what did we stir the pot? What were the reactions? Were there a lot of people that might have supported it, and they're going to maybe they're going to modify the bill and come out with something else that's not as crazy. So that's why this is something that we have to pay attention to, because this is bluntly insane. But I think their point might be to analyze what the reactions are.
Yeah, excellent point you're making. Again, if you're listening to us, we're talking about Representative Sheila Jackson Lee's bill that is going to be presented sometime this year. And it looks crazy, preposterous. But as I said earlier, even a blind squirrel gets a nut every once in a while.
Right.
So we got to keep our eye on this.
Oh yeah.
What do you say? And we'll close with this. Is the outcome on our gun manufacturers in this country? You know, to basically assemble a gun in this country, you need to have a plant here. So Glock has to, assemble their guns here, and Beretta and everybody else.
Right.
So how bad do you think the bullying is going to go down with the manufacturers?
Well, they have to be careful with the lawsuits. That's number one, because a lot of manufacturers are moving to gun-friendly states. I think there was one manufacturer, I can't remember, that's moving their gun company. I'm not sure who it was, but so it's going to come down to the state level and who's less intrusive. However, they have to be careful with the lawsuits, like what happened with Remington. With that issue, they have to be careful with lawsuits, because you want to. It's on the federal circuit court level. Okay, what lawsuits are they going to entertain? And that's where a lot of companies can go bankrupt.
Yeah, I believe Remington, they just got sold and purchased by private investors, and I think they're moving.
Yes, they are, and a lot of other companies bought out some of their, because Remington had a lot of like other gun companies bought some of like somebody bought their ammunition. Yeah. Someone also bought some of their gun lines. Like they actually divided them in different investors in different other companies. But that's the issue there. When it comes to gun manufacturing, they're going to have to pick states that are much more gun friendly, right then. So that'll help tremendously. However, on a federal level, they just have to watch out with the frivolous lawsuits that can happen. Trying to attribute firearms to everything, where it's instead of the individual committing the crime, they're trying to bring the firearm for the crime, and that's a huge issue, because that cannot happen. You cannot. That's like if someone, it's unfortunate, but it's as if someone killed somebody in a drunk driving accident, and they're trying to sue the manufacturer of the liquor that the drunk driver drank.
Exactly.
It's just, that's what we have to stop.
Yeah.
And that's at the a lot of times that's at the federal level. With the federal
exactly. Right. Well, we hope that we gave you some understanding of this crazy bill that's coming our way. And if you want to support what we said, contact your local representative and tell them, please. Hey, yes. I am pro Second Amendment. Don't mess with my gun.
Yes, please. They need to know we're out there. They need to know that we're voting. That we voted them in, and we can vote them out.
Yeah, it's a God-given right to defend your life, and no politician should be in the way of that. And, of course, these laws are trying to be created by people that have armed security around them at all times.
Of course.
So the top of the hypocrisy chain, there they are. And it's our God-given right, and we shouldn't just lay down.
That's right.
We should fight.
Right. That's right. Well, that's why we're in this beautiful country of ours, and that's why we have the Bill of Rights is the rights of the individual. It's not a collective right.
Exactly. My friend, as always, it is our pleasure to have you on this show. You always give us the gospel truth on anything gun-related, so we thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Well, till next time, my friend.
You got it.
We are very blessed to have Kilo Sierra come out on the show today. And I'm glad we had this conversation. I'm glad you were part of this conversation because this is the beginning of the attack from the left on the Second Amendment. And like I said, a God-given right that we all have to protect one's life and the life of those that are close to us, our loved ones. And they can't wait to pry those guns out of our hands. And that's why it becomes so offensive. So I'm glad Kilo Sierra came on the show and we talked about it. We will be posting on the show notes a page from the Gun Owners of America. Once you click on it, it takes you to your representatives. And basically, it calls simple form you fill out. You put your name on it and all that. Goes straight to your representative. The more, the merrier. We clog their emails with 5 million leave my gun alone emails or concerns. They'll get the message. Because ultimately that's what these politicians, all they know is numbers. It's a numbers game with them, and big numbers scare them. In closing, to me, the most concerning aspect of this podcast was here we are, two Americans, myself and Kilo Sierra, retired law enforcement. We were both firearms instructors in law enforcement, and Kilo now continues to practice that trade of firearm instructor. And you hear us talking, it sounds like we were in communist China, or we were in Cuba or something. It's disturbing that the representatives that we sent to Congress live for the simple fact of making our life miserable. That is sad, but that is the state of affairs that we find ourselves today in what I like to call the Bolshevik states of woke. And it will be a difficult 4 years, nothing that we can't handle. We continue to create our Hardee's list on Raider Cop Nation. There it's a community of people and businesses that you can trust, products that you will need for your survival of these 4 years, I like to say. So it's very important. Okay, what's up next? Episode 190, Coffee with a Cop. Did it work? We're going to examine that program that the police departments around America instituted several years ago. Go to your neighborhood coffee shop and have coffee with a cop. It was to have amends with the community in law enforcement. Well, I don't know what you witnessed, but I know what I witnessed during the summer. That cup of coffee wasn't strong enough. And we're going to discuss that. February 10th, episode 190, Coffee with a Cop. Did it work? As always, it is my honor and pleasure to be your host on Raider Cop Podcast. Continue to pray for yourself because without you in the game, we have nothing. Continue to pray for your family, your community, the law enforcement agencies that serve you, and most importantly, for the United States of America. This is Alpha Mike, and I'm out.
232, sorry, 1322.